You gonna be there
I am
with the horses?
also gonna pull in the Hastings Prairie this year.
Really?
Bunch of 4-H kids.
Windows update.
I hate it when it's.
Oh.
No, it looks like the weather.
And you do it from-
It's actually gonna be nice. So. That was a little surprising. You look at Buffalo getting 5-6 feet of snow.
Probably why.
Nice looking buck.
Perhaps.
Looks like he's a beefy little boy. Good for him. Wow. And you?
Nothing.
Drinking coffee, staying warm.
What?
Watching the world.
I don't hunt. I didn't hunt during the storm. That's silly, because if you shoot it during a storm, yeah, take care of it in the storm.
Isn't that funny how we way ahead? We used to just look at the kill.
And Tim was up north. Tim was up north, and Mark was plowing snow.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm staying home and shoveling.
Changed with old age a little bit. Okay.
Technical difficulties?
Is it the chair's fault? We're gonna try to blame you for everything we can.
We could get started. I mean, public comments is number 7.
This seems like Murphy's Law is in effect.
You have today
Where we let him go if we're gonna tie
I
it
feel
over?
like anything that can go wrong will go wrong.
What should happen?
Are we good, David?
Well, just, I'm not sure why, I might be having the same issue, but if you wanna just go ahead and get started.
Got knocked out early last night. He got knocked out early last
So
night.
live stream is struggling too?
No, live stream is good. No, we're online right now.
Oh, we play poker.
Oh.
That's once in a while down at the Moose. Coop doesn't play, but he's down there.
This meeting of the Berry County Board of Commissioners is called to order. Will Commissioner, staff, and guests please rise for invocation, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Dear Heavenly Father, thank you so very much for this beautiful morning that we've had. A little cold, but we are so thankful that the storm has stopped, and we ask that you help those people that are still in need from that. We thank you for our military, and we ask that you be with them and all our volunteers around the world as they help with earthquakes and fires and all the disasters that have hit throughout the world these last few months. Lord, we ask that you give us wisdom today to deal with the measures before us, and that you will help us to make good decisions for the citizens and the residents of Berry County. Thank you again so much for being with us. We ask this in Jesus' name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. For the purposes of attendance, the clerk will call the roll.
Campbell.
Here.
Connor.
Here.
Geiger.
Here.
Getty.
Here.
Gibson.
Here.
Jackson.
Here.
Smoker.
Here.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Approval of written agenda. At this time, any member of the board or member of the public may ask for an item to be removed from the consent agenda and placed under items for consideration. Hearing no such request, does any commissioner wish to change the agenda additionally? Hearing no such request and without objection, the agenda is approved as written. Reports from state and county officers. Does any state or county officer or their representative have a report to share with the board? Limited public comment. This time, any member of the public wishing to address the board may do so for up to 3 minutes. Our timer today will be behind you on the screens.
I'm not going to take a lot of time. I know all three of us have dockets that we have to attend to. Just wanted to reiterate our support for getting something done, hopefully today, with regards to employee wages. That's all I have to say. I don't think you've ever seen all three of us here at the same time. That's how important we think it is.
Okay. First of all, I don't come to many of these meetings. Thank you very much for saying a prayer and saying the pledge. That's important. I brought some of my staff here because I think sometimes we talk about these things without reality, without seeing that there's a face here. So my staff would stand up, please. There's just a few of them because we've kept the office open like we always have. We have to make tough decisions in life, and I know with the money that you have, there have been tons of requests for that money. I know that. My priorities in life have always been people first, above things. I remember a few years ago when we sold our house, we didn't have a new house to move into, so we lived in a little trailer. And it was about, I don't know, 400 or 500 square feet with a bathroom that we had 2 minutes of hot water and we could barely move in. But you know what? It was a great 6 months because we were together as a family. I don't need things. I can live without things. My priority is people. Can't live without people. And these people, and some of them are new, but these people never stopped. When other people in the county took time off with COVID, and I'm not blaming them for doing it, we really couldn't. Because the people in jail, we weren't allowed by the Supreme Court to just keep them in jail indefinitely, because in our system they're innocent until proven guilty. So we had to do something. We couldn't let them all out, because some of them were guilty, and we needed to keep people safe in domestic violence and other situations like that. So we never stopped. We continued working. And we've saved the county. In fact, I had Inez do me a printout. Over the last 4 years, we've saved the county over $1.3 million in employees' salaries that we haven't had because we've been short, and in other expenditures. Over $1.3 million. Over $500,000 just last year, and there will be more this year. That was in 2021. So we've saved you a ton of money. We're just asking, and many counties have already done this in multiple times. I'm imploring you, please vote on the bonus, get them at least started. Let's make it a great Christmas for them. Let's tell them, real people, that we appreciate them, that they come first over other things. Please.
We've said time and time again how much our employees mean to us. But the time for words is past. They need to see a realistic showing of how much our employees mean to us.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Is there further public comment?
Good morning.
Morning.
Sharon Zabrowski, Vice Chair of the Commission on Aging Board. I've given each of you a flyer that's really 3-in-1, showing you the upcoming events at the Commission on Aging. I've also placed some full-size flyers over here on the table for anyone who would like one or has some place where they could display one. We're trying some new things, starting with the winter open house, which allows people to see what the COA is all about and have a chance to visit with some friends, both old and new. Then we have 2 make and take holiday projects, which could be a gift or could be keep it yourself. On December 16th is a holiday party. We charge a whole $2 for anyone over the age of 60, and $4 for those who are under 60. There will be lots of fun, and even Santa is going to stop by. Good luck trying to keep up with the seniors this December, and there's more coming next year. I hope you get a good pair of running shoes for Christmas, because you're going to need them to keep up with our seniors. Thank you.
Is there further public comment?
Good morning.
Morning.
My name is Vi Thompson, and I live on Pine Lake. And I'm here representing a group that's in opposition to the drain project that is going on. We believe that the project was initiated in haste at the height of a period of flooding back in 2019. And just by a show of hands, at an informational meeting, the decision was made to go ahead without conducting a vote of any kind or anything. There was even, I think, maybe one other meeting besides that one. But anyway, we believe the levels of the lake in streams are cyclical. They ebb and flow and have since the beginning of time. So today I just briefly want to say I would like it on the record that there is an opposition group that is growing. We have 300 signatures so far that are against the drain. And we are looking forward to working with the new commission in January and moving forward. And looking forward to working with all of you. Thank you.
Is there further public comment?
Jason Sixberry, I just wanted to reiterate some of what the judges say. You know, our people that work for the county, we need them. We're trying to retain people at the sheriff's office as well as all their places. We have part-timers. We really do want them to stay, trying to keep them here versus the real world out there with the public sector of paying them more money than we are. If we could at least think about something to help keep them here, then retain them, that'd be great. I know we have something else on the agenda later on, trying to get, luckily the MCOs is putting out a grant, so thank you.
Thank you. Is there further public comment? Hearing none, we'll move ahead. Various correspondence. Does any commissioner have any correspondence they'd like to share with the board? Consent items, Commissioner Jackson.
I move for the approval of the November 8th, 2022 Board of Commissioner meeting minutes.
Second, Gibson.
Motion by Jackson, supported by Gibson, to approve the item listed under the consent agenda. Discussion is not allowed and a roll call vote is required. All those in favor will vote aye. Those opposed will vote nay. The clerk will call the roll.
Campbell.
Aye.
Connor.
Aye.
Getty.
Aye.
Gibson.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Smoker.
Aye.
Geiger.
Aye. The consent agenda is approved. Presentations, we have none. Public hearings, we have none. Items for consideration.
Mr. Chair, I move for approval of claims in the amount of $102,897.27.
Second.
Motion by Smelker, supported by Getty, for the approval of claims in the amount of $102,897.27. Is there discussion? Hearing none, the clerk call the roll.
Connor.
Aye.
Getty.
Aye.
Gibson.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Smoker.
Aye.
Campbell.
Aye.
Geiger.
Aye. The item is approved.
I move for the approval of the agreement for economic development services between Berry County and Berry County Chamber and Economic Development Alliance for the period of January 1, 2023 through December 31, 2023.
Support, Jackson.
Motion by Smelker, supported by Jackson, for the approval of the agreement for economic development services between Berry County and the Berry County Chamber and Economic Development Alliance for the period of January 1, 2023 through December 31st, 2023. Is there discussion? Hearing none, clerk call the roll.
Getty.
Aye.
Gibson.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Smoker.
Aye.
Campbell.
Aye.
Connor.
No.
Geiger.
Aye. The item is approved.
I move for the approval of the attached agreement for drug testing services with First Step Testing Services, LLC, and to authorize the chairperson to sign the agreement. Second, Gibson.
Motion by Smelker, supported by Gibson, for the approval of the attached agreement for drug testing services with First Step Testing Services, LLC, and to authorize the chairperson to sign the agreement. Is there discussion? Hearing none, the clerk will call the roll.
Gibson.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Smoker.
Aye.
Campbell.
Aye.
Connor.
Aye.
Getty.
Aye.
Geiger.
Aye, the item is approved.
Move for the approval to award the 2022-2023 snow removal contract for county facilities to J.K. Rose Construction LLC.
Is there support?
Support Campbell.
Motion by Smelker, support by Campbell for approval to award the 2022-2023 snow removal contract for county facilities to J.K. Rose Construction LLC. Is there discussion? Hearing none, the clerk.
Yes, did we get the second bid, or did we just get the first one? The one that we're approving? Oh,
No, we had 2 bids.
okay, I see it's on the, next to the last page, thank you.
It's in the packet. Thank you.
That's it. I just wanted to see.
Okay. Further discussion? Hearing none, the question before the board is approval to award the 2022-2023 snow removal contract for county facilities to J.K. Rose Construction LLC. Clerk, call the roll.
Jackson.
Aye.
Smelker.
Aye.
Campbell.
Aye.
Connor.
Aye.
Getty.
Aye.
Gibson.
Aye.
Geiger.
Aye, the item is approved.
Move for the approval to apply for a police academy grant through MCOLS for 2 law enforcement deputies.
Support Jackson.
Motion by Smelker, support by Jackson for approval to apply for a police academy grant through MCOLS for 2 law enforcement deputies. Discussion? Under Sheriff, what do we have here today?
MCOs themselves came out with the ability to, I think it was $30 million, if I remember correctly, over until through 2026, for up to 25 law enforcement people put in through the academy per agency, or until the money's gone. And so basically they'll pay up to $24,000, including that's part of for the academy itself, as well as part of their salaries, as well as paying for their uniforms and that type of equipment that they need at the academy. Basically, to me, it's a no-brainer because we can't get people as it is to apply, or if they do, they're applying other places that get paid more money, and better benefits and better health care, and we're trying to compete, and we have 2 people that work part-time for us. Well, one's full-time corrections deputy, one's a Marine deputy, as well as a part-time cadet in the back right now that wishes to become law enforcement, and we're down 2 people right now, and we can't get applications, so what better way to do it is get them to, it's paid for. We don't have to pay for the academy. They don't have to pay for the academy. It helps them. And they're employed by us at the time because that's how it has to be. MCOLS is possibly looking at not just certain amount for only up to $4,000 for the salary, but maybe just doing a whole thing of $24,000 for whatever it takes to put them through the academy. If it's $11,000 for the academy, and it's $13,000 to help pay for the salaries, they're looking at that, but I'm not sure if they're going to do that yet. I don't want to put words in their mouth, but that was one of the hearsay.
So is this grant allocated to each county, or is it a statewide?
Statewide, city, county, whoever applies for it. What we do is we do the first part of it. We have to do the background. They have to go through the PT test, the written writing test. Have to have the psychological. We do the background check for them, and then we do all the front page, and then we hand it over to the academy. They complete the rest of it and send it to MCOLS, and basically there shouldn't be any problems with getting it approved.
Okay. Questions or comments from commissioners? Vice Chair Connor?
If let's say you get an application before the end of the month, could you make another application to put another person through, once you did all your?
The problem with everything is each academy only has a certain amount of people.
Okay.
So LCC, which I talked to Andy, great guy, and then KCC, a lot of them were very helpful, but KCC's not putting one on this coming winter because they are for corrections, but not law enforcement because they can't get the staff to run it, the instructors to run it. So I saved 3. He put me down for 3. 1 backed out on us, so we are down to 2. So they're full right now for the next one, but we could do it for another
Right,
one.
okay, so we could do it
As-
for another one.
As long as the money's there, but it wouldn't be for this January.
Okay.
It would have to be the next one or a different academy.
Yeah, I did read in there, it said that it's available as long as the money, but,
Correct.
so if we do get furthers for the next academy, we could ask for more.
Yes,
Do you have a limit from the, does each county have a limit of
25
25.
max
25?
applicants.
Applicants,
Or
okay.
people going through the academy. But that's every single agency in the state of Michigan.
Okay.
Counting the county, so.
Commissioner Smelker.
You mentioned corrections also. Is there a separate one for corrections, separate grant?
Academy, no, there is not one for grant. I'm just saying one of our corrections deputy wishes to become a law enforcement
okay.
deputy, and we have him in the
We're
works
short
at
of
this time.
corrections too, aren't we?
We are, but we do actually have some applicants for that, and they are checking that, trying
Very
to
good.
find some.
Thank you.
Well, if we know anything about the state of Michigan, this money may not be here in the future, so we should take advantage of it while we can. Any further discussion? Hearing none, the question before the board is approval to apply for a police academy grant through MCOLS for 2 law enforcement deputies. The clerk will call the roll.
Smoker,
Yes.
Campbell,
Aye.
Connor,
Aye.
Getty,
Aye.
Gibson,
Aye.
Jackson,
Aye.
Geiger.
Aye, the item is approved.
Mr. Chair, I move for the approval of the attached quasi-judicial officer job description, replacing the quasi-judicial officer 1 and 2 job descriptions and classification of the position at grade 15 on the general fund department head and non-represented employees pay scale.
Support, Gibson.
Motion by Smelker, supported by Gibson, for approval of the attached quasi-judicial officer job description, replacing quasi-judicial officer 1 and 2 job descriptions and classification of the position at grade 15 on the general fund department head and non-represented employees pay scale. Discussion. Michael, could you fill the board in on what this does? Or I think we have Inez Straub here too.
Sure, I'm actually going to defer to Inez
Okay.
on this one.
Good morning.
Essentially, what we're doing is making the positions equal and expanding the job responsibilities of the quasi-judicial officer 1 position. The attached job description includes the additional items that each of these positions will be required to perform. I think for ease, I put those in red. So the job essentially has expanded. A lot of what the judicial quasi-judicial officer 1 performed, the duties performed previously, were specific to district court. Now we are starting to need the current magistrate's assistance with a lot of circuit court responsibilities and duties. Also, additionally to the circuit court responsibilities, we need him to, or the position to assist with sitting on committees, establishing procedures that are, that affect not only the court, but the jail. I think one of the committees he sat on was the jail diversion work group. CIT, which is the crisis intervention, helped with that. Landlord-tenant diversion program, which was implemented by the Michigan Supreme Court during COVID. Doesn't look like that's going to go away anytime soon. So that position really has had additional duties attached to it. A lot of the cases that are coming back from the Court of Appeals that have been remanded, he's assisting us with the research so that we could provide the Court of Appeals additional information with case law and court rule cited. So that's why we're requesting this position to move from that quasi 1 to the 2, or actually eliminating both and having one job description.
So, in the general summary, the last sentence, reviews and approves arrest and search warrants and sets bond, may serve as probate register. Statutorily and constitutionally, this position can do that?
Yes.
Okay. Because this officer was not elected by the people.
No, it's not, but the probate register position is one that's appointed by the judge, so is the magistrate position.
Okay. This practice has been done in other places?
Having them,
Sign search warrants?
oh,
and-
yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
good.
that's within the statute.
Great. Discussion.
Who's the circuit court magistrate?
There isn't one. In Berry County, we eliminated the circuit court arraignments, so they all start in district court.
Oh, because you mentioned that the circuit and district court, and now this magistrate is gonna have to take over some circuit court duties.
Yes, that would be the post-appellate reviews of the pleadings that are filed after conviction that we get quite a few of.
Okay, so the other thing is this person is already doing these duties. I mean, it's kind of after the fact.
They have been performing some to a certain extent, yes. Not all of it, just some.
What haven't they been doing?
Well, they aren't required to review the post-appellate request.
That one item?
No, they are not required to also sit on the work groups that assist the jail in reducing or addressing the population that's currently incarcerated. It's not required to sit on the landlord-tenant work group to facilitate elimination of or diversion of evictions.
Who sat on those groups in the past?
They didn't exist.
Well, that's good to know.
Yeah, they
Because
didn't
that's what I
exist.
wondered,
Yeah.
where was the breakdown and who,
That's why
how
we're
these
coming-
duties were.
Yeah, they didn't exist, which is why we're requesting that, because they continue to be created, and there's a certain expectation that that position or person assist us in performing and creating these committees, along with providing us with the legal analysis that's tied to.
Okay, that wasn't clear, so that was
Okay.
where I was like, well, who was performing these
Yeah.
duties in the past? So that's why I kind of, when I read it, I thought, well, what happened? So, all right, thank you.
You're
That's all
welcome.
I have.
One last question. I think it was in 2013 or 2014, we did the comprehensive reclassification. And I don't remember what the job title was before, but it was very long, clunky, and bureaucratic. So we came up with this term. I don't recall why we had a 1 and 2. What was the reason that we had 2 levels of this position too?
Well, geez, that was quite a while ago.
But we're classifying them the same now.
Right. I think back then, for the magistrate position, we had a couple non-attorney magistrates, so we didn't necessarily need someone that has a JD attached to their education. And when we reclassified the position, they were solely focusing on district court matters. So I think they assisted as a backup too, in the event someone was absent.
Mm-hmm.
With this position, it's kind of the expectation that both of these individuals could perform any of the duties in the job description today.
So it's not relevant today to have a
Right.
1 and 2, okay. Any other discussion? I guess that means it's time to vote. The question before the board is approval of the attached quasi-judicial officer job description, replacing the quasi-judicial officer 1 and 2 job descriptions and classification of the position at grade 15 on the general fund department head and non-represented employees pay scale. Clerk, call the roll.
Campbell.
Aye.
Connor.
Aye.
Getty.
Aye.
Gibson.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Smoker.
Aye.
Geiger.
Aye, the item is approved.
Mr. Chair, I move for the approval to designate the National Opioid Settlement Fund that Berry County receives from the Substance Abuse Task Force to use, in accordance with the terms of the National Opioid Settlement for treatment and recovery, prevention, individuals involved in the criminal justice system, and harm reduction.
Support Gibson.
Motion by Smelker, supported by Gibson, for approval to designate the National Opioid Settlement Funds that Berry County receives for the Substance Abuse Task Force to use in accordance with the terms of the National Opioid Settlement for treatment and recovery, prevention, individuals involved in the criminal justice system, and harm reduction. Discussion. So this is similar to the tobacco settlement money that came to the counties in the 90s. Am I right, Michael?
Liz, you're the expert on this one. So, I'm gonna say, yeah, it's similar. Liz, again, knows the nuances far better than I, but effectively, yes, there's been one settlement. I'm not gonna try to get into the weeds and the discussion about the multiple settlements, but this happens to be one settlement that was entered into, I believe it was with Janssen, and it's intended to provide a total of about $773,000 over roughly an 18-year period. So what we're asking is effectively for these funds to be designated to the Substance Abuse Task Force to be used and deployed in accordance with the settlement agreement, and that being for treatment and recovery, prevention, individuals involved in the criminal justice system, and harm reduction. So it does follow with the substance or the tobacco settlement, the same concept. That Liz would expound that they're using that similar framework, if you may, to then deploy these funds.
Great. Morning, Liz.
Good morning. Liz Land, Substance Abuse Task Force Coordinator. Happy Thanksgiving. Thankful to be here today and answer any questions you might have. But I do want to tell you that the Substance Abuse Task Force is acting as the collaborative body that we are, and our partners have been working together on this for the past few months, coming together to kind of do some needs assessments. These are the public's dollars, and you are the stewards of those and the givers of those once these funds are received. And we also want to be good stewards of these funds that have come because of an opioid epidemic. And so in some of the documents that I prepared for you today, you can see that there's some websites and there's some other information. And the Substance Abuse Task Force Opioid Meth Work Group has met several times and conducted some needs assessments and come up with some suggestions on how we can be good stewards and allocators of these funds for the folks of Berry County. The tenets of the dollars, the funding, are supposed to be that we have a transparent process for how we've determined how to spend these dollars, how to allocate them, and to use evidence-based strategies, which is something the task force knows very well. We've been using evidence-based strategies since we began in 2004, and we'll continue to do so. Basically, these dollars are to help prevent further overdose, to help keep people alive, to keep people in treatment and recovery, to prevent other situations of misuse or abuse, youth education, family education, outreach, media campaigns, harm reduction, such as things as Narcan and safety and security measures, and then definitely to help those folks that with lived experience that may be in the criminal justice system. So we're on leg 2, if you will, of the needs assessment, and we have been collecting some surveys with the help of the specialty courts and substance use clinicians in the community for those folks with lived experience to kind of find out where they'd like to see these dollars allocated. So are there any questions? What can I further explain, or questions that I can answer for you?
So what we're doing today is approving your framework for how we're going to spend these dollars. And they're not going to come at once, correct?
They are not going to come at once. They're going to come once a year. They were supposed to be allocated. We were supposed to receive our first installment. At first, Michael and I have been in contact. We thought maybe April of 2022, and then we thought July, and then we were told August, and then we're told sometime in 2022. So there's just a few weeks left, so they've got to decide. So we don't know what's going to happen in terms of that. We're kind of waiting for the receipt of those funds. It could be anywhere, based on the calculations that I've done, $35,000 to $42,000 a year, roughly. That's not a whole lot of money, but it is enough to make a difference and do things. And the Substance Abuse Task Force has a history of taking not a lot of money and doing things and making sure that we get the biggest impact for our dollars and our funds so that we can do good work. many families have lost people to overdose or substance use issues. We definitely want to be respectful of that, and we want to make a difference and hopefully prevent further issues or do our best to minimize that. I realize it's big, are we signing on for an 18-year commitment with me? That might be a lot. I think that you deserve an annual review and an annual request. Quite honestly, you deserve to see how these dollars are being spent, and you deserve to have reports of dollars that come to this community that belong to the citizens of Berry County. And I would pledge to do that and give you a say. Did that answer your question, Ben?
Yes, it did. It does. So over the next 18 years, we're going to get $32,000 to $42,000. Is it your intention that the board would make it an appropriation to a specific program, or would you come with recommendations?
I can do whatever you would like. If you would allocate the funds and you would trust the Substance Abuse Task Force and their leadership and their members, and based on the needs assessments, then we would be happy to serve in that capacity.
Mm-hmm. I would be happy to approve that, but I'm not going to be here in 6 weeks. So, questions or comments from commissioners? John?
I feel that the opioid money going to the Substance Abuse Task Force is the perfect place for it. They handle their money well, and they do an excellent job. And I feel that we should let them take the money and allocate it like they feel is best. And then, as she says, come back and give an annual report.
These are my thoughts on it. In comparison to the entire county budget, this isn't an astronomical amount of money, but it is impactful. I think the board needs to be engaged with Liz's group so we can, future commissioners can be ambassadors into the community that can have the tough discussions about addiction. For instance, small dollar capital requests or supplying local fire departments Narcan. That stuff saves lives, and we know it's going to get used well. So if I had a philosophy that I would encourage the next board to use, what's the most local, most impactful thing that we can do? They'll have 18 years to decide what the best strategy is, I guess. Commissioner Getty?
I really appreciate the work that was done so far with the needs assessment. And I see a trend in there about sober housing, and it's something you and I have talked about before as a local impact for those going through substance issues, and really contributes to their success, long-term success, is having that transitional sober housing option, rather than just being thrown back into their same situation. So I would love to see that, sort of the next phase of the needs assessment, and that really being addressed in our community. Because it's no good if we send them to Grand Rapids or Lansing, where they do have some sober housing options, but they're far away from their family and friends.
And sometimes their involvement in the courts don't allow them to live outside of the county. So these are true needs. We are listening. We're documenting what we're hearing, and we want to, again, be stewards of those dollars. So, I think Michael and I are going to be learning how these dollars can be handled. We're going to watch how other entities handle their dollars as well, and we're going to ask questions as we go. And if there's a way to bank money and reserve it and accumulate, then we will look into those options so that dollars can be spent in the most meaningful way possible.
Further discussion. Commissioner Connor.
Could you tell me what organizations, department groups are on the Substance Abuse Task Force? I mean, there's a bunch of names, but I don't know who they represent.
Well, I can. we're
Quiz.
pretty broad. We have lots of members from many sectors in the community, where we have representation from law enforcement, from the courts, from the specialty courts, from family and children's service organizations, those organizations that serve youth, schools, healthcare. It's a lot. Emergency management, 911, elected officials, prosecuting attorney, parents, members of the community, people in recovery, people with lived experience.
How many members are on the task force?
It's usually, official membership is somewhere between 45 and 50 some. And, when we have different meetings, we have some meetings that are, some members that are electronic only. They just can't leave their business or their day to come to our scheduled meetings, but they participate through email, or they participate through some of our activities that we have going on away from the monthly meetings. We also have work groups. We have a media work group, a marijuana work group, we have obviously the opioid meth work group and some other things that they're task focused at the time, Vivian. So they, they come and kind of wane and wax as they go, kind of like the moon, and we get things done and then we move on.
And the decision-making board, or?
Yes, there is a steering committee.
Oh.
Yep, steering committee that oversees the task force. And then the task force is our fiduciary, and my employer is Berry County Community Mental Health Authority, and we also have a board there. So everything is, looked at, double-crossed, dotted, and crossed many, many times.
Oh, thank you.
Did that answer your question?
Pretty much, yes, thank you
I'll say
very much.
that's the nature of Liz's organization and the task force. We constantly have to adapt and we constantly have to change because the pressures on our young people and our vulnerable citizens are always changing. So,
Right, I just wanted to make sure, where all the information and the input and decision-making was coming from. But that's a broad group, which is
It is. It's
exactly
very
kind
broad.
of what this needs.
Yeah, it's really a wonderful
Lot of
example
eyes.
of why it's great to live in Berry County. And, it's working together. So, thank you.
further discussion? Hearing none, the question before the board is approval to designate the National Opioid Settlement Funds that Berry County receives for the Substance Abuse Task Force to use in accordance with the terms of the National Opioid Settlement for treatment and recovery, prevention, individuals involved in the criminal justice system, and harm reduction. The clerk will call the roll.
Connor,
Yes, or aye, excuse me.
Getty,
Aye.
Gibson,
Aye.
Jackson,
Aye.
Smoker,
Aye.
Campbell,
Aye.
Geiger.
Aye. The item is approved. Thank you, Liz.
Mr. Chair, I move for the approval of the attached memorandum of understanding with Eaton County for the 2023 EGLE scrap tire grant and authorize the chair to sign it.
Support, Jackson.
Motion by Smelker, supported by Jackson, for approval of the attached memorandum of understanding with Eaton County for the 2023 Eagle Scrap Tire Grant and authorize the chair to sign it. Any discussion? Hearing none, the clerk will call the roll.
Getty,
Aye.
Gibson,
Aye.
Jackson,
Aye.
Smoker,
Aye.
Campbell,
Aye.
Connor,
Aye.
Geiger.
Aye. The item is approved.
Mr. Chair, I move for the adoption of Resolution 22-15, a resolution renewing the agreement with the Berry County United Way for Veterans Affairs Services.
Support, Gibson.
Motion by Smelker, supported by Gibson, for adoption of Resolution 2215, a resolution renewing the agreement with Berry County United Way for Veterans Affairs Services. Discussion.
Sure, I'll just take a quick minute to do two things. One, answer any questions and point out a couple of changes, but two, everybody knows Lanny Forbes, but you may not know Ryan Condon. Ryan is our Veterans Affairs Officer, so for those that have not had an opportunity to meet Ryan, he's replaced Patrick, and we're glad to have him aboard. So his office continues to be over in United Way. If you have a chance, stop over and say hello to him at some point. With that, this is a renewal of the agreement, but we did extend the agreement, and I want to point that out. Historically, it has been I think a 3-year agreement. We have put this in place for 5 years this time, 2023 through 2027. You have both a clean version and then a redlined version of this agreement in your packet, as I recall. So I'd be happy to try to answer any questions, or Lanny or Ryan, if they are specific to the veterans.
This has probably been one of the most successful partnerships that I've seen come across my desk as county commissioner. For those of you that weren't here, we had an unfortunate situation where we had to terminate the county employed officer, and we were looking for new strategies for our Veterans Affairs, and so the United Way stepped up and said, we can do it. And our model that we've made is worked terrifically. So, Lanny, you have any thoughts?
I just want to say thank you for trusting Berry County United Way to serve our veterans. As you said, we are a model. We are a model across the nation. We were one of the first 2 United Ways that were involved with Veterans Affairs across the nation. We have helped many other United Ways and Veterans Affairs organizations from Florida to New York to California set up a similar type program. It really does have a significant impact in a different way. Not only are we helping our veterans access all of the veterans benefits that they can get through the VA, but also utilizing our local resources, which are not always accounted for when the Veterans Affairs organization is just a single entity. We also have been able to save the county. When we made this transition, it was costing the county about $100,000 a year for the Veterans Affairs office, and we have been able to do that for under $40,000, which then provides additional assistance to the veterans in our community. So thank you, County Commissioners, for seeing the value in that, and for being a pilot for the nation. I do want to take just a second. Ryan Condon is our Veterans Affairs Coordinator. Ryan comes to us as a 12-year Marine Corps veteran. He has already been out meeting with many of our post commanders and has been very active getting to know many more of our veterans. So,
Great.
Any questions that you have of us?
Well, thank you for your leadership. Would you like to say, offering a word?
Good morning. Thank you for having us, and I do look forward, if approved, I do look forward to continuing to serve veterans. I've just gotten started. You know, that my predecessor had done a good job, but I am trying to build upon that and trying to get out there to the post, trying to get out to the veterans. As we all know, about 1% are the ones that I'm going to see. Their veterans are very proud, so they don't always ask for help. So I'm just trying to get my name out there, get the information out there. That way, if they do need help, if they do need assistance, then they know who to go to and where to go to in order to get that assistance. So thank you again for having us.
What would your message be to any veteran out there that might be reading about this board meeting and watching it online?
I would say if you need help, don't hesitate. Contact us. We'll try to find help in any way that we can. Whether it's in our office or whether I'm contacting another service organization, we're going to do everything we can to try to help out with whatever situation it is.
Perfect. Questions or comments from commissioners? We'll start down there with the fellow Marine, Commissioner Campbell. You have anything?
Yeah, I think you were an amazing branch of service. Kudos on that. I have had the opportunity to meet Ryan already. He's been out to Post 422 out at Dalton, which I am currently a commander for. And I think we're going to have a great relationship. I think he's going to be a go-getter for the veterans, and we need more of that.
Commissioner Jackson, do you have any?
Welcome, Ryan. I was talking to Lanny about the time you were coming on board, and there was a lot of enthusiasm about your arrival, so you come with great fanfare and expectations, so I'm sure you'll live up to them. So thanks for joining the team.
Vice Chair Connor?
Thank you for your service, and thank you for coming on board to help the service and veterans of Berry County meeting the needs that they have. Thank you so very much for stepping up.
Commissioner Gibson?
Welcome to your new job, and I attended one of your meetings, and they're very well organized.
Mr. Smelker?
Thank you for joining the team, and although Bruce and I may disagree on the branch of service, welcome aboard.
Commissioner Getty?
Thank you for joining the team at Berry County, and I can't think of a better place than United Way, where you're really surrounded by so many programs and just the dynamics of that office, getting people the help they need.
And Commissioner Pitch?
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, the question before the board is adoption of Resolution 2215, a resolution renewing the agreement with Berry County United Way for Veterans Affairs Services. The clerk will call the roll.
Gibson.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Smelker.
Aye.
Campbell.
Aye.
Connor.
Aye.
Getty.
Aye.
Geiger.
Aye, the resolution is adopted. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I move for the approval of the attached agreement for remonumentation grant administration services with Anderwile LLC and to appoint Andrew Hartwick as the grant administrator for the Berry County Remonumentation Program effective November 22, 2022.
Is there support?
Support.
Motion by Smelker, support by Connor, for approval of the attached agreement for remonumentation grant administration services with Anderwild LLC and to appoint Andrew Hartwick as the grant administrator for the Berry County Remonumentation Program effective November 22, 2022. Discussion?
Thank you. So this is a new agreement. Is this working? There it goes. This is a new agreement. Historically, the position of grant administrator has been filled internally. Suzanne Hubner, who's here, was our latest. I have served as an interim long enough to get it out of the expert hands of Suzanne and into someone else's expert hands without screwing it up, if you may. And we've been fortunate that Andrew Hartwick stepped up. He's a resident of the county. His company is Wild. Thank you. I always want to say the D first, Wild. Andrew previously worked for St. Joe as a GIS professional, and while he was there, served as their grant administrator. He currently owns his own business, Wild, and does mapping services for, right now, one of his clients is the Gun Lake Sewer Authority. Gull Lake, sorry, thank you. Gull Lake Sewer Authority. Andrew also served on the State Remonumentation Commission. It was there that he and Brian Reynolds worked together on a major project. Anyways, when it was reported that Suzanne would no longer be serving as our administrator, Andrew and Brian connected, and Andrew said that he would be interested. So it's my recommendation that we enter into a one-year agreement with Anderwild LLC and appoint Andrew Hartwick as the grant administrator for the remonumentation program.
Morning, Andrew.
Morning.
So are you prepared for the finding all the monuments in Berry County?
That's not my job. That's actually the surveyor's job, but I will oversee all of the paperwork in conjunction with the surveyors to make sure that all the prerequisites and requirements by the state are met. I've been, as Michael has alluded to, I've been part of the remonumentation program since 2006. When I stepped down from the county's position in St. Joseph County, I actually had assumed the state commission position, which I just finished my term in 2021. So it's calling me back is what it sounds like. So thanks for this opportunity. If you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them.
So, a lot of the functions of county government are unknown to 99.9% of people. Can you briefly explain what remonumentation is and why it's important?
Sure. Remonumentation is the location of all of the section corner monuments throughout all of the counties in the state of Michigan. And as many of you probably know, if you want a survey of your property, these are vital pieces of information that's necessary to go out and delineate these cadastral pieces of real estate, if you will. So since I believe give me a second, it was back in '94, I believe, was when the remonumentation program was started, which funds then are taken from, I think it's a portion of the Register of Deeds, all the recording fees for properties. A portion of that goes to the state, and then it's divvied back up to the counties based on an annual grant program. And then the county has positions that oversee that, and of course with the county surveyor and a handful of other surveyors create a group which then go out, find the locations, they discuss the locations, actual position, and then put a large physical monument back in that spot. So for all perpetuity going forward, surveyors can use these monuments as legitimate, I guess, because we have questionable areas, if you will, because of these surveys going back into the 1800s. So.
All right. So these monuments historically are stone little structures?
It can be anything from oak stakes, a shaved oak stake. They put stones on top. They put pluses on them. It's a myriad of things that you can find, and it is impressive when they actually pull out an 1860 original wooden stake out of the ground. So.
It's impressive. Questions or comments? Michael, what percentage, do you know off the top of your head, what percentage of Berry County has been redone?
That's a Brian Reynolds question, and nailed on us to go.
Yeah, it's 70s to 80s or something?
In the 80s, 80%.
Is it?
85.
And once that's completed, then there's
a party.
There's a maintenance phase actually that goes beyond that. So, but yes, a party.
Mm-hmm. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, the question before the board is approval of the attached agreement for remonumentation grant administration services with Andrew Wild LLC and to appoint Andrew Hartwick as the grant administrator for the Berry County Remonumentation Program effective November 22, 2022. The clerk will call the roll.
Jackson.
Aye.
Smelker.
Aye.
Campbell.
Aye.
Connor.
Aye.
Getty.
Aye.
Gibson.
Aye.
Geiger.
Aye. The item is approved.
Mr. Chair, I move for the approval of the attached rate addendum to the administrative service agreement between Berry County and Veripro of Grand Rapids, Michigan, effective January 1, 2023 through December 31, 2023 for short-term disability administration, and authorize the county administrator to sign it.
Support.
Motion by Smelker, supported by Getty, for approval of the attached rate addendum to the administrative services agreement between Berry County and Veripro of Grand Rapids, Michigan, effective January 1, 2023 through December 31st, 2023 for short-term disability administration, and authorize the county administrator to sign it. Discussion.
Sure. It is just what the motion states. We're asking for renewal of it. The per month, per employee cost increase goes from $2.25 to $2.40. We anticipated that there would be an increase, but we're asking for the agreement to be renewed.
Any discussion? Hearing none, the question before the board is approval of the attached rate addendum to administrative services agreement between Berry County and Veripro of Grand Rapids, Michigan, effective January 1, 2023 through December 31st, 2023 for short-term disability administration, and authorize the county administrator to sign it. The clerk call the roll.
Smelker.
Aye.
Campbell.
Aye.
Connor.
Aye.
Getty.
Aye.
Gibson.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Geiger.
Aye. The item is approved. Yeah, Commissioners, would you object to taking a break and then going into item 14, closed session, and then coming back?
Not at all.
Without objection, the chair makes a motion to recess and then go into closed session in accordance with the Open Meetings Act, Act 267 of 1976, 15.268, Section 8E, to consult with the county's attorney regarding pending litigation, Calkins versus Kent County, Sattler versus Kent County, and Granger versus Ottawa County et al., class action lawsuit involving 35 counties, including Berry County. Is there support?
Support.
Motion is made by Geiger, supported by Connor. Any discussion?
Are we skipping 13?
We're going to come back to that once we get back out of closed session. So
Okay.
I'm thinking 10:30, we'll come back. 10:35? We'll aim to come back at 10:30. If there's no further discussion, the clerk will call the roll.
Campbell.
Aye.
Connor.
Aye.
Getty.
Aye.
Gibson.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Smoker.
Aye.
Geiger.
Aye, the board will go into closed session and return at 10:30.
Nice closed session.
Circuit Court.